Chapter 2. The journalist's gambit. The French Quarter thrummed with life as the sun climbed higher, painting the pastel facades of Royal Street in gold. Mardi Gras was in full swing, and the air vibrated with the syncopated wail of a brass band trailing a parade float draped in purple and green. Masked revelers danced in the streets, their feathered headdresses bobbing like exotic birds. Vendors hawked pralines and chicory coffee, their calls mingling with the clink of coins and the laughter of flappers twirling in beaded dresses. Beneath the festivity, though, whispers of the Jackson Square murder spread like smoke, curling through the crowds. Celeste Moreau wove through the throng, her notebook tucked under her arm, her green eyes sharp beneath the brim of her cloche hat. At 28, she was a rarity, a woman carving out a name at the Times-Picayune in a newsroom thick with cigar smoke and male egos. Her auburn hair, pinned loosely, caught the light as she dodged a drunk juggler tossing pins. She'd been assigned to cover the parades, a fluff piece meant to keep her out of trouble, but the rumors of Henri Levine's death had her senses tingling. A banker stabbed in Jackson Square, masked like some voodoo effigy? That was no parade story. That was front-page gold. She slipped into an alley off Chartres Street, where the crowd thinned and the cathedral's shadow loomed. The crime scene was still cordoned off, patrolmen shooing away gawkers. Celeste's lips curved into a determined smile. She'd talked her way past bouncers at speakeasies and bribed dockworkers for tips. A few rookie cops wouldn't stop her. Adjusting her coat, she adopted the brisk stride of someone who belonged and ducked under the rope, her heels clicking on the flagstones. "Oi, lady, you can't be here." Officer Malone's voice boomed, his face redder than a crawfish boil. He lumbered toward her, but Celeste was already at the oleander bushes, her gaze fixed on the spot where Levine's body had lain. The blood had dried to a rusty stain, and a chalk outline marked the corpse's sprawl. She crouched, sketching the scene in her notebook, her pencil flying. "I'm with the press," she said without looking up, her voice crisp. "Public's got a right to know what's happening in their city, don't they?" Malone grabbed her arm, but a low voice cut through the morning haze. "Let her go, Malone. She's not hurting anything yet." Celeste glanced up to find Detective Julien Dubois leaning against a lamppost, his fedora casting a shadow over his scar. His dark eyes studied her, half amused, half wary, like a cat sizing up a sparrow. She'd seen him before, in grainy photos beside stories of solved cases, but up close he was sharper, more weathered. The cigarette between his fingers glowed faintly, its smoke curling toward the cathedral. She stood, brushing dirt from her skirt. "Celeste Moreau, Times-Picayune. And you're Detective Dubois, the man who's supposed to keep New Orleans safe." Her tone was light, but her eyes challenged him. "Not doing so hot this morning, are you?" Julian's mouth twitched, not quite a smile. "You're a long way from the parade route, Miss Moreau. Chasing beads or chasing trouble?" "Trouble's more my speed." She nodded at the chalk outline. Henri Levine stabbed clean through, masked with some kind of carnival nightmare. Crescent moon on the forehead. That's not a random killing. That's a statement. Julian's eyes narrowed, the amusement fading. She'd seen the mask, or heard enough to guess its details. Either way, she was too close for comfort. He stepped forward, his voice dropping. "You're fishing in deep waters, Miss Moreau. Waters that'll drown you if you're not careful." Celeste didn't flinch. "I swim fine, Detective. And I'm betting you're wondering the same thing I am. Why mask a dead man? Why here, in the heart of the quarter?" She tapped her notebook. "I saw Levine at the Crew of Comus ball last night. He was schmoozing with half the city's elite. Maybe one of them didn't like his dance card." Julian's jaw tightened. She was sharp, dangerously so, and her observation about the ball was a lead he hadn't considered. Levine's social circle was a tangle of power and secrets, and Mardi Gras balls were where deals and grudges were made. But letting a journalist this close to a case was like inviting a fox into a henhouse. "Write your story," he said, flicking ash from his cigarette. "But stay out of my crime scene. Next time, I won't be so polite." Celeste smirked, undeterred. "Polite's overrated, Detective." "Truth isn't." She slipped her notebook into her pocket and turned to leave, but paused, glancing back. "That crescent moon, it's old, isn't it? Like something out of the bayou. You might want to talk to Madame Zora Laveau. She knows things even cops don't." Before Julian could respond, she melted into the crowd, her coat a flash of gray among the sequins and feathers. The parade's drums grew louder, a float rolling past with a papier-mâché jester leering from its prow. Julian crushed his cigarette under his boot, the crescent moon mask burning in his mind. Celeste Moreau was trouble, all right, but she'd given him two leads. The Comus ball and Madame Zora. He didn't trust her, but he couldn't ignore her either. As the cathedral bells rang out, Julian headed for Bourbon Street, where the jazz never stopped and secrets hid in plain sight. The killer was out there, masked by the madness of Mardi Gras, and Julian had a feeling this was only the first note in a deadly song.